Hello, welcome to another McLaren Fans podcast. I'm your host, Andy Donnelly. Joining us for the first time this season is Sarah Merritt. Say hello, Sarah.
Good day, Andy.
G'day. And all the way from Australia, Melbourne, Australia, Albert Park, is Jacqui and West.
Good morning, everyone. Well, I'll just say hello, everyone.
Yeah, it's very early morning over there, and we really appreciate you getting up and joining us on the podcast.
Anytime.
Yeah, great. So let's start with the obvious big thing from the weekend. The Melbourne Walk was back. How about that?
Wow.
Jacqui, why don't you tell people what the Melbourne Walk is and why it's so special and why we should have something like that at every race?
I thought you were going to say the bouncy bridge.
That too. So the Melbourne Walk, and I'll just explain it in very simple terms, is basically the path between where the drivers are dropped off in their vehicles in the morning, and then they walk along this little path called the Melbourne Walk into the paddock. And along the way, it's lined with fencing, and they'll all stop. It's full of fans. They'll stop, they'll have photos, they'll sign autographs, have a chat. And it's really just a way for the fans to interact with not just the drivers, but all the teams, really. It's just a great way to get the weekend going.
Did you see the young lady that burst into tears when Lando came along? It was shown on Sky.
Poor girl must be so. I don't know. I feel for her. I think, oh no, if that was me, I'd think, no, don't show it. But I think it just shows just all the build up, everything that's happened in the last 2 years, not just in Melbourne, but worldwide. I think everyone was just so happy that this finally happened. Happy that we had no idea what was going to happen on the Melbourne Walk this year, to be honest. I think a lot of us felt that with COVID, maybe a lot of drivers would keep their distance, that they wouldn't interact with fans, but it was the total opposite.
That's really good to see, I mean, we're saying it's the first Melbourne race since 2019, but we know you all got geared up in 2020 and nearly had one. And that feeling for you guys then must have been absolutely awful, yeah?
Oh, devastating. And for a lot of us, I think we never lost the love for Formula One, but we lost a little bit of that spark. We still watched all the races, and going into this Grand Prix, in the back of our minds was, we're getting really excited for this, but it could be cancelled at any moment. So there was always that underlying fear. I think as soon as we got there on Thursday, we realised this is really happening. And the spark came back, so it was great.
So you actually got to have your 25th Aus Grand Prix?
We did, finally. And they didn't market it as that as such.
Oh, really?
But no, they didn't play on that whatsoever. And I just wondered, did they just not want to bring back that memory of, hang on, this is what happened at the last one? This was very much about forget what's happened in the past.
Yeah, let's start again.
And it was great. Yeah, it was fantastic.
I was wondering if they might have had, the merch left over that they didn't sell last time, that kind of thing. Get your 2020 limited edition here.
They'll have had some in that shop in the town that we went to that time.
Yes, correct. Yes,
we have old merch as well.
It's worth pointing out for those of you listening that Andy has been to the Aus Grand Prix as well. So Jacqui's resident there, but Andy's been there on a trip, so he knows the score.
Absolutely, yes. And we actually missed you, Andy. Whenever we walk past the McLaren merch stores, we'd look out for you, and you weren't there lining up.
Yeah, despite having bought it already, I'd probably buy it again because it was just at a racetrack.
You have to.
No, it was really nice to see all of that because Sky kept showing it again and again in the build up. Ted Kravitz walked up and down the Melbourne Walk, seeing the fans back there. And also not just on the Melbourne Walk, but the depth of fans around the outside of the track, you know, so many people deep. If they weren't in a grandstand and they were in the general admission areas, they were packed in. I believe it was a record-breaking crowd. Am I right, Jacqui?
Absolutely, and you felt it, because everywhere we went, we were just in awe. We knew this was going to be big. You felt it in the build-up leading up to this. We went away in January into regional Victoria, and Michael always wears his Australian Grand Prix cap wherever he goes. And the amount of people that approached him and said, "Oh, you're going to the Grand Prix this year?" "Yeah, I'll definitely be there." Like, we just felt it everywhere this year. We've never had that before. You just knew from this build-up that it was going to be very popular. And just walking around the circuit, you're absolutely right, Sarah, it wasn't just the grandstands. It was whenever you walked around the GA areas, the Melbourne Walk was ridiculous. The queues for food and drink were, there was at least a 1 hour wait, which I've never ever seen before in Australia. This was very, very different. You know that, you know, even free practice 1 and 2, the grandstands were full, and that I've never ever seen that here before. There was just, and then come free practice 3, there was not one spare seat, which is just unheard of here. So
was it the same case in the city as well? So normally you kind of, when you go to the city, you could kind of, yeah, there's a Grand Prix and there's a few people kicking about.
This was very different. It was also marketed very differently. There were billboards on buildings and trams and public transport. A lot more marketing that they would normally have, and you just felt it. You're right, Andy. You felt it everywhere. It was in the city. It was the track. Yeah, very, very different event. This one, very enjoyable.
Be really interesting to see if it's like that next year as well, Jack. To see if it is, you know, a carryover of tickets when, or if we really have got this peak of popularity now with the new fans and the old coming together.
Of course. I think the thing that they do well here as well, tickets for Australian Grand Prix, they normally go on sale about a month or 2 after the event. So I think you'll have a lot of people that are still hyped up, plus a lot of the new fans fighting for tickets. So I think this might carry over for probably the next year or 2.
Excellent stuff. And I take it West, although he's been very quiet and well behaved next to you, and for those of you listening to the podcast on audio and not on video, West is with Jacqui, and we'll tweet a picture of this so you can see. I take it he enjoyed the race weekend as well. Did lots of people come and ask for his autograph?
They did. A lot of autographs, a lot of photos. I have a lot of people who walk up to me and say, "Oh, we know West. Yeah, we want a photo with him, or we want his autograph, or, you know, we want to shake his paw." So yeah, very, very popular.
Excellent stuff.
So should we get on to the actual race weekend then?
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought we did really well. I thought we maximised our weekend. I remember seeing that it was FP2 that we got a P1 in. I know it was kind of done short, but
I think it was. There were a couple of moments there where I said, "Stop the weekend," because we got a P1 in, correct. I don't think a lot of us expected that, to be honest.
Yeah. No,
we're always cautiously optimistic, but we do hold back a bit, don't we, just in case.
Correct.
Well, and I was hoping that Dan's smile with his teeth reflecting would, you know, blind some of the other drivers and give us an advantage. But yeah, I think, like you say, Andy, a good weekend, a steady weekend with some consistency there, wasn't there?
Yes, and I think we're getting to grips with the actual car. I think we're starting to catch up on what we probably missed in the testing in Bahrain. I think it's still going to take a couple of more races, but yeah, I think we're starting to get on top of that. Yeah, but seeing us in a P1 in a practice session is pretty good. Even though it was cut short, you've got to kind of think, well, you know, we've got to have had the sort of speed to get around there, and, you know, kind of bit of vamos in the car.
No, he's gone.
He's gone. Oh, it's a different driver, is it?
Oh, do we still have Vamos in the car now, do we? I thought Carlos took his Vamos with him.
We can borrow some of it. So
Okay, we'll borrow a bit back. I'm sure he'd lend Lando some with their excellent relationship.
Yeah. So yeah, and I kind of thought, oh, this is pretty good going. Let's see if we can take it into the rest of the weekend. And I thought we did. I thought we did everything we needed to do in quali, and similarly in the race. I was going into it sort of thinking, right, if we can get both cars into Q3 and double points, that's a fantastic weekend for us. So I was really, really happy when we finished 5th and 6th. And I know that people go, oh, there's retirements and everything, but you've got to race the race. You can
I agree.
We were still there. I totally agree. We were still there to the end. It doesn't matter that, the attrition rate, we were there. We weren't one of them. So
yeah, it doesn't matter that Max Verstappen's got the fastest car. He didn't finish the race.
Indeed. We always say that, don't we?
Yeah.
To finish first, you must first finish.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, what we've done really well this season so far is take the opportunities that are given to us. And yes, sometimes that means you are capitalising on someone's misfortune, but you've got to be there. You've got to be in it to win it, haven't you? So, yeah, very good.
That's racing, isn't it?
I thought it was really beautiful, that moment when the guys crossed the line 5th and 6th, sort of nearly together like that. I was hoping somebody from McLaren was there snapping that photo, the one that we'd all want. And then I was especially pleased when I started to read that Lando was nursing an issue towards the end of the race, and that Dan had been warned on the radio, don't get too close behind him, expect something. Could have certainly changed our result if his problem had been terminal. So, really glad it wasn't.
Yes.
But it's quite interesting because obviously we're a little bit off the front sort of pace of the cars, but we were also quite ahead of what was behind us. So we were kind of like almost for the last 10 laps had a bit of a no man's land race. But yeah, I kind of feel like our battle this year is pretty much with Alpine.
Or Alpine, of course. Them two.
Alpine.
Alpine.
Doesn't matter. We're still going to be
potato. Yeah, I think so. And we are just ahead of them in the constructors, aren't we? We're sitting in 4th place on, I think, 24 points, and they're on 22 points.
Yeah.
So yeah, that does demonstrate what you're saying there, Andy. Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I think we just got to get some consistency. I think there's going to be tracks where our car is completely suited to it, and others where it's like, oh my god, not great.
And I hate to be the prophet of doom from Essex here, but I don't think Imola is going to be a track that really suits us well. So please enjoy all the other things around the race weekend, because I think it might not be one that plays to our strengths at the moment.
Which is a bit of a shame because we did quite well there last year.
Correct.
Yes, that's true. We have to remember that when we're there, because we have to stay positive. So tell me, guys, what was your moment of the race? What was your lasting moment of the race that sticks in your head?
I think for somebody being at the race, Dan crossing that finish line and the grandstands erupting, you'll never forget it.
I bet the noise.
And it was crazy because for once it was my team, and I've never ever experienced that before, where the
it's normally me roaring in your ear because we're the only McLaren fans there.
No, but I guess the Aussie drivers never been driving for McLaren, have they? That's the thing.
So that's the thing. It's normally I'm the odd one out because I'm the McLaren fan and the local hero is driving for another team. So this for me was just completely insane. Never experienced this before, but yeah, him crossing the line. And I think a lot of Australians, everyone around the world really, I think we all knew that anything could happen in this race. So for Dan to finish in the top 10, I think was just, hey, we'll take that. But when he crossed that line and the place just erupted, I don't think I'll ever forget that feeling.
That's really good. That's really good to hear. So my moment is lap 34. Both of our boys were hunting down K-Mag like a pair of velociraptors working together to get him. It was almost like you needed the Jaws music playing in the background as they sort of came up behind him. And watching that on telly, I was jumping up and down, going, yes, 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 because I knew that we were going to get, both of our cars were going to get him at the same time, and they duly did. And of course, the Google wheels. My highlight of the weekend is that they look really, really good every time I see them. So
I like them.
I do love my Google wheels.
McLaren are missing out if they don't do some merch around the Android.
They certainly are. Jacqui, did they look good in real life?
They did, absolutely. And I thought, wow, how has no one ever thought to do this before? Selling, clearly it's a Zach Brown magic moment. Selling advertising on the wheels, I don't think I've seen that before. So I think that's genius. Yeah. But yes, I was trying to focus my camera on those wheels on a number of times because they did look
Yeah. My favourite moment of the weekend.
Yeah.
Pit stops.
I knew you were going to get excited.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
We might not have been fastest this weekend, but we're consistent.
They only pipped us by a tiny bit.
Yeah. Yes. But that's the thing. We've I hate to say it, but it sounds like we've got that nailed better than we have done.
Don't you do the commentators?
Oh, what have I done now?
Remember this moment.
Andy has officially jinxed the Imola pit stops. I don't believe it. He's done it. He's said the wrong words.
Yeah.
So much hate mail if something goes wrong in the next race, Andy.
Feel free to tweet me at McLaren Fancast and tell me how I jinxed all the pit stops.
Yeah. There'll be people putting pins in your voodoo doll, Andy, after that one.
Yeah.
No, but seriously though, if you look at our two pit stops, second and third, the same time, Red Bull were fastest, but their other pit stop was down in seventh for 2.9 seconds. So if you look at what we've been doing across the 3 races this season, very consistent times, banging them in every time. And that's what we want. Yes.
Yeah. It's the little improvements in the lots of different areas, isn't it? That, it'll all come together. We're getting there.
Exactly. We definitely are. And I think, there's a lot of new people on the pit team this year. We know there's been some staff changes. They must have worked really hard to come in. And those bigger wheels as well. Oh, my Lord. Look at the size of them when they're trying to bring them out of the garage. It's got to be a lot more hefty to drag around one of those big rear wheels, hasn't it?
Definitely a workout bringing one of them wheels out by the looks of it.
It's like carrying a person. They're that big. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good things this weekend. So, Jacqui, was there any sort of good merch? I know normally when I come across, there's always some good merch kicking about. So, tell me what it was. Tell me what I missed out on this year.
I was waiting for this question from you, Andy. I knew it was coming. There was some good merch. And I did take some photos and actually posted and asked people, is this any different to what's on the McLaren store? But unfortunately, no, it wasn't. It was very similar. There was no special Aus GP. Correct me if I'm wrong, if anyone's listening and you did see, but there was nothing that I saw that was particularly any different than what was in the stores. I was very impressed that we actually had the new Daniel Ricciardo range at the circuit, because normally Australia misses out on all the new merch. But they were obviously quite organised with this one. And him being the local hero, of course, I think they were pretty much, we need to be on this. And the full range was there at the circuit, which again, doesn't usually happen in Australia, particularly when we're the first race. We don't always get the merch in time over here. So in answer to your question, Andy, sadly, nothing new that's not already on the store, but good to see the full range here for once. It was good.
Yeah. Now, I noticed something on the television, Andy, that I thought was good. It was a Melbourne Aus Grand Prix hat, but they'd made it in papaya colour. Therefore, you could buy a hat that wasn't a McLaren cap per se, but it's in our colours. Did you buy one?
We did.
No. I saw him out on the telly wearing it, and I thought, this is awesome because it's the right colour, Jacqui's attractive assistant, Mike. He's in the background there. He's the
Yes.
Debbie McGee to her Paul Daniels.
There we go.
There you are. See,
Oh
look.
yeah, that's
Now
good.
I saw someone wearing that
on.
on the telly, and I thought, well, I'd buy that. You know, that's a good cap.
So there is. So I take that back. There was one special piece of merch at the Aus Grand Prix, clearly. But yeah, I thought the same thing when I first saw it. Came out on a newsletter, and I thought, oh, they're selling McLaren caps. And I had to take a closer look and went, no, it's actually Aus Grand Prix cap. So they usually do a couple of official caps each year, but you're right.
Yeah.
This one's definitely the most attractive. Totally agree with.
And you know, when you see the grandstands and everyone's wearing papaya, you know that some of those caps are in it as well. That's brilliant. That's really good. They've tapped into both sides of it. So
they have. And yes, it was very strange to see Australia full of papaya. That's for sure. So much so that actually on the Sunday, I was walking to my grandstand and I walked past a couple of the team. And I initially didn't recognize them because I just thought they were fans because there was papaya everywhere and just totally just walked straight past. And it was too late at that point. I just waved and kept walking. And I thought, they must think I'm being so rude. But I seriously thought they were just fans because there was so much of it there.
Wow. You know that when people are catching up. Andy, I've just got a couple of things to mention before you talk about the next thing on our agenda.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you both, and you might have seen this more, Jacqui. Do you watch the reserve drivers? Or
I've
do you
never
know who
heard
they
of
are?
this before, so you might have to explain it.
Okay, I'm going to do so. So the reserve drivers have a YouTube channel, Instagram account, and Twitter account. They are two guys, Tim and another guy, Luke, who he refers to as Lukey Boy throughout his YouTube. They are funny as that word I can't say on a podcast in case there's any youngsters listening. And Sky featured them and showed their really funny, snappy video casts they do. So yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to the reserve drivers. They're Aussies, they're funny, they take the piss out of absolutely everything. And I think it sounds right up most of our streets, so give it a look.
Maybe you can find one and retweet it on our account. Then.
Yeah, we'll do. And the other thing I was going to say is there's a new Sky program called Any Driven Monday that's come out. And I was watching that tonight at 6 o'clock UK time on YouTube. Very surprised to see only about 700 people were watching it at the same time. It's got Naomi Schiff on it, who you may have seen presenting on Sky. And they just go through the race weekend. But again, they're doing it in a bit more of a tweet YouTube sort of style.
Okay.
I think it's quite good. I've really enjoyed watching it a couple of times now. So just giving it a shout out on the podcast. People, if you've watched it, let me know what you think. If you haven't watched it yet, and now you're going to, because I've told you about it, let me know what you think.
Next time they'll have 702 watchers then, or listeners.
Obviously, that's live at the time it's going out, and then they can keep watching it afterwards. But I was just very surprised there was not more than 700
Yeah, I've
people.
not heard anything about that either. So they
But
stuff.
now that Sarah's given it a plug, those numbers are just going to go through the roof.
I know. Sky Sports F1 are going to be ringing me up.
They
Right. So before we finish this week's podcast, we've got a rather special giveaway. Sarah, tell them what they can win.
Our friends at McLaren Car Care got in touch. And no, we're not giving West away. No, he's a one of a kind. And they've sent us a kit with some of their products in it. So first of all, guys, if you don't already, give at McLaren Car Care a follow on Twitter. Have a look at their products. And Andy, you use these a lot on your car, don't you? This is something you can.
Yes, I've used them for a few years now, and it's really good, excellent stuff. A variety of different things. I will say the cleaning cloth is out of this world. It's obviously papaya, and it's got McLaren on it.
Who wouldn't use a papaya cloth?
Yeah.
I noticed there was new products in the box that's leather cleaning. Wax, I think, as well, or cream of some description. So there's a lot of stuff here, guys, and it's normally pretty expensive to buy. So it's good quality, which means you're going to want to win this prize. So Andy, tell me, how are we giving this away?
Right, so it's pretty simple. You have to tweet us at McLaren Fancast and answer this question. Before this weekend, how many Australian Grand Prix races has Daniel Ricciardo participated in, i.e. started the race?
Oh, okay.
So,
I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head, you know.
I'm glad you
Thinking
clarified. Started the race.
yes,
Started the race.
yes,
That's giving a large clue there, isn't it?
maybe slightly, yes.
Now, if you,
yeah, so go
I
on.
was just going to say, if you're going to tweet us and enter the competition, you better be following us.
Yes.
Don't just sneak in there and try and win the prize without giving us a follow.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this is open to only people in the UK.
Yeah, and sorry about that, guys. The reason is we post it out at our own cost, and it's really heavy.
Yeah. So it costs a fortune. So we can only post it in the UK. However,
Yeah, we alike.
probably in the summer we'll do a worldwide giveaway of something in the summer.
Something small and light. Yeah.
Yeah. maybe some key rings or something again.
Well, I do actually have some more keyring ideas on the go and some more things coming. So watch this space.
Yeah.
Google will.
Yeah. So yeah, get entering people, and where the last entries for this will be on the 24th of April, which is the Imola Grand Prix day, and the last entry will be when lights out are. So when the race starts, that's when we'll take the last entries from.
Excellent. Sounds good to me, Andy.
Yeah, right. Thanks for joining us, Jacqui and West. If people want to get in touch with you on Twitter, what's your Twitter handle?
Oh, so my Twitter handle is at Jacqui and West. If West had his way, his name would be first, but it isn't. And you won't miss the tweets. You'll see this little fellow on there and you know you've got the right account.
Yeah. Sarah,
Yes.
what's your Twitter?
Oh, I thought everyone knew that by now. At Sarah Ware.
We might have some new listeners because of like
We
Drive
might.
to Survive or something.
We might have. You never know. You never know. Yes.
Yeah. And you can get me at Denali, or you can follow us on McLaren Fancast. Give us a follow, download the podcast, subscribe if you can, and even leave us a rating or a review. That would be brilliant. Thanks again for listening, and we will speak to you all again after the Imola race.